Hello and welcome to the League of Legends Strategy Guide. So you want to play Quin. Ah yes, Quin, the supersonic tank-shredding bird lady. If you want to have fun in the top and bottom lane, Quin is a surefire way to have a grand old time. She's a marksman that does incredibly well with building lethality, now that it's back in the meta, and is amazing against tanks. I remember back in the day when Quin was absolute garbage, and no one liked playing her. Hell, before the rework, I didn't even like her as a champ. Now she's my main ADC. But you're not here for my tragic backstory. You want to know a couple of meta and off-meta ways to play the bird-loving lady. Sorry. No, I'm not. Onto her abilities. Her passive is Harrier. Her partner in crime, Valor, comes down and randomly marks an enemy. This mark will show up as a type of crosshair on your screen and will let you do extra damage to the marked target. This can help you CS and give you a solid amount of damage to land the final blow on an enemy. Overall good passive, 8 out of 10. Her Q is Blinding Assault. Once again, Valor swoops down and gouges out the eyes of the first enemy hit, blinding them for 1.5 seconds and damaging other enemies in a small area. But this is so savage and extra, and I love this in Quin's kit. It makes her basically an anti-marksman in the sense that it takes away the most essential part of being an ADC, their auto attacks. Quin's W, Heightened Senses, is pretty simple. Its passive gives you bonus move and attack speed for a short amount of time when you hit your Harrier passive. When you activate it, it grants you vision in a large area around you for 2 seconds. It's pretty sweet, not much to it. Makes it fun to spook your bush-dwelling enemies before you go in for the kill. Her E, Vault, does exactly that. She jumps and vaults off an enemy, placing Valor's mark on them. Unless you move her, Quin will automatically target them in auto to take her mark. Vaulting off an enemy also displaces them momentarily, so it cancels whatever channel they're doing if they're doing one. This is a really good engage and is a really good start off for your combo, which is what I use all the time for her. Now Quin's ult, Behind Enemy Lines, a quintessential part of her kit. She channels for a second and then Valor comes down and picks her up and takes her around the map wherever she pleases, drastically increasing her movement speed. Guess it's not just Mundo who goes where they please. Any damage coming from turrets, champs, and sometimes minions will scare Valor off and pull Quin out of her ult. When she does come out of her ult, a hail of arrows flies down with her, doing a small amount of damage in a circle around her. Now enough of the boring kit explanations. Time to talk about her laning in top and bot lane. Let's start with top. Quin is not normally played in the top lane just because there are so many things that counter her. See Teemo. But there are times that she can do pretty well. Early game versus tanks specifically. Quin does very well early game against melee champs because she has range on them, and range equals poke, and poke equals creep denial. If they can't farm, they're useless. Quin against Cho'Gath is a fun matchup because Cho is just terrifying. He's this giant world-eating monster, but if you start building lethality early against him and just keep poking him down, he'll either be forced out of lane due to sheer harassment, or he'll have to call up his babysitter and have the jungler camp you just so he can have some hope of doing well in the mid to late game. The latter happened to me. With lethality finally being back in the meta, Quin is back to being amazing because she skills so well with that mechanic. That's why I called her a tank shredder. Now for bot. For Quin, having a support who can lock down the enemy laners goes best with her. That way, they can't escape the bird. When you start getting into trades, make sure there aren't any minions in the way, because you could easily get minion blocked since your abilities won't go through them. Then their ADC won't be blind and helpless. Blinding the enemy ADC is how you win trades. They can't hit you? Sucks. You're gonna keep laying into them, and if you have a support like Braum, stick a fork in them. They're done for. For Quin, the build should be obvious. Stick to lethality and crit. It makes you devastating. Throw some lifesteal in there too for some sustain. Ghostblade, Infinity Edge, Bloodthirster, Berserker's Greaves, Static Shiv, then whatever last item you want. Her build path is pretty flexible, so build her as you so choose. That's all for today. Now remember to use the practice tool when deciding who to play, and we'll see you on the Rift.